Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next in our series of webinars ahead of the Healthspan show. I'm so excited for today's discussion. It's going to be really brilliant. So I'm so pleased that there are so many of you signed up to join us today. Before we get going, just a quick logistical note. Please feel free to use the chat to correspond with your other viewers. And to chat and share opinions as much as you like. If you have specific questions for the panel, I ask you to please use the Q&A function. It's much easier for them to follow, and it's a better workflow for us to be able to answer the questions as and when they come in. But without further ado, I'd like to say welcome to today's webinar on why consumers are wild about ingestible beauty and how to seize the market opportunity for anti-aging. And I'm very pleased to hand you over to your moderator for the discussion, Geoff Briggs. Geoff, over to you.
Thank you very much. So, introduction for myself, I'm Geoff Briggs. I work for Walgreens Boots Alliance, and my role as a technology scout, my role is to go out, identify and evaluate, so actually work out whether things work, but evaluate products and then see whether we can develop them into making them either as products or services to go on the market, go on the shelves within Boots or Walgreens or any of our other outlets, worldwide. And my particular area of interest is skin microbiome, but I'm also involved in the gut microbiome, and I'm also involved in ingestible beauty and personalized nutrition and all those other sorts of bits, which is why I've got an awful lot of questions for the panel here, and I look forward to their answers. So if we go through, Gina, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hello, my name is Gina Holzer. I am the founder of Holy Dose. Holy Dose is a beauty and wellness supplement. We create supplement powder blends with ingredients that are clinically proven to provide effective benefits for inner and outer beauty, as well as your health. And I started Holy Dose from my personal experience. I grew up not being happy with my own skin. I had really thin hair and also a weak immune system. So I always got sick on a daily or on a yearly basis. And so I tried countless products over a span of 10 years, from topicals, treatments, vitamins, and even trying to change my diet, but none of these things worked. And so I did further research and discovered that there are certain ingredients that are scientifically backed to provide effective benefits if you take them together as opposed to separately. And so I started blending my own supplements at home and tested them on myself until I found a mix of ingredients that finally gave me these results, which is when I started Holy Dose.
Thank you. So if I go around on the screen in front of me, Pupinder, you're next. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Pupinder Ghatora. I am the co-founder and CEO of Ingenious Beauty, the only independently clinically proven collagen supplement. We've been working on this for about 15 years and have won numerous awards and carried out a significant clinical trial on our product.
Okay. Ben, how about yourself?
Hi there, my name is Ben May. I'm the founder of SkinWoof, natural skin supplements and skincare. We have 4 products at the minute, an award-winning collagen beauty drink, a healthy and radiant skin supplement, a tan enhancing supplement, and a vitamin C radiant serum. I kind of got interested in the space after a health scare that I had about 10 years ago in my early 20s. Where I caught MRSA from a hospital operation, and I got put on really, really strong antibiotics to recover. And having always had quite good skin my whole life, I started getting blemishes on my skin. It went gaunt and was very, very unhealthy. And after I got better from that infection, my confidence was held back a lot because of my skin. And so I really sort of started looking into different ways that I could look after my skin after that. My academic background is in engineering at Oxford, and prior to that, I worked in beauty and personal care, M&A, where I'd noticed a great trend in beauty supplements. And after a little bit of research and my own background, I thought, look, I've got to get involved in this, and that's how the story started.
Okay, Volker, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Geoff. So my name is Volker Spitzer. I am working at IQVIA Consumer Health. So I'm in the area of, let's say, science and R&D for almost 30 years now, starting as a university professor in the area of pharmaceutical science, mostly focusing on natural ingredients for certain health benefits. And over my career, I worked a lot also in methodologies, how to develop evidence for those, let's say, concepts from coming from nature, copies of nature, bringing things together, the concept of beauty from within. I would say I'm even started on that 25 years ago already, and also worked a bit on the microbiome over the last 10, 15 years to see how are the relationships, how can you influence the microbiome in a positive way, and looking forward to the discussion today.
And Marie, we leave you last, and the lead on microbiome there leads into you, of course.
Hi, my name is Marie Drago. I'm a pharmacist and the founder of Gallinee. So Gallinee is primarily a skincare brand, and it's all about beauty for the microbiome. So we started with skin and body care, and then we kind of moved to everywhere where there was bacteria on the body. So we've got a scalp care range, intimate care, and last year we launched oral care. Oral probiotics based on the gut-skin axis. And this year we are going to launch 2 supplements because it's clearly a nice branching out for us.
Okay, so thank you everyone. First question, title of the talk is, why are consumers wild about ingestible beauty? I suppose the first question is, what actually is ingestible beauty? Where is ingestible beauty start and finish, and when are you into drugs and pharma and everything else? What is it, ingestible beauty? So who wants to go first on this one? Any volunteers? Pupinder, you've got off mute.
I don't mind. I think this is more looking at your vitamins, minerals, and food supplements as opposed to pharmaceuticals. As you know, I'm also a pharmacist, so that would be it, really. So anything you can look at in the nutrition supplement space.
Does that include food?
Yeah, certain foods, definitely, I would say.
Okay. So
high antioxidants, you know, stuff like blueberries, lots of antioxidants in there, mopping up free radicals. That's also quite effective in cleaning up skin, and as they say, you are what you eat at the end of the day. So the cleaner your diet, I think you'll probably find the cleaner your skin will be.
So Ben, I'll go to you next. Would you like to contribute to anything here?
Well, it's kind of a bit of a grey area, isn't it? Ingestible beauty. So what Pupinder said is right there. It can be foods. It can be more pharmaceutical looking, like capsules, tablets. You know, because it's a relatively new area. For me, it kind of bridges the gap of cosmetics and pharmaceuticals and food. It's in between those, and in that sense, it gets a little bit more complicated to regulate it because it is a new area. But basically, in my definition, anything that you ingest to enhance the appearance of your skin, hair, nails is what I would class as ingestible beauty. So that could be quite broad.
Okay, and I suppose this, I'll go on to Marie for this one. So we've talked about food. Where do probiotics fit in? Where does the gut microbiome fit into ingestible beauty?
So for me, the definition of ingestible beauty is maybe a bit more restricted. It's not food and it's not a drug. It's something that you take as a supplementation to your diet. And probiotics typically fit well in that because not every bacteria is a probiotic. You've got to add it to your normal diet and it's got to have a proven effect. So for me, yes, like ingestible beauty is a supplement. And if you're talking about supplement, it's not food, but I'm like obsessed with functional food. And I think it might be a competitor in the future for supplements. And it's not a drug because of course we don't have drug claims.
So where does the gut microbiome fit in? Where does probiotics fit in? We obviously have an understanding of where vitamins fit into skin, but surely the gut microbiome, the bacteria there in your gut, they're nowhere near your skin.
No, but so we've got this whole new science that is called the gut-skin axis in microbiome science, and it's starting to understand the mechanism of how your gut microbiome can actually influence the skin. So how your bacteria in your gut can produce typically inflammatory or anti-inflammatory compounds that some of them might travel all the way to the skin and have a pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory effect on your skin. So for me, yes, there's a massive potential of probiotics for ingestible beauty, because we start to understand we need bigger studies, we need like a lot more data, but there is clearly a link between the gut and the skin, and probiotics are the center of it.
And Volker, I'll come on to you on this one. You have also got an interest in the microbiome. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so I think while we are talking, I mean, the microbiota on our skin just have a great party, right? Depending on the part of the body where they sit, they are all kind of eating well what we have to offer them that comes from the inner part of our body, and that is triggered also by nutrition. So all the microbiomes, they're basically metabolized like proteins in our skin and lipids, and produce also a lot of bioactive molecules, free fatty acid, they antimicrobial peptides or proteins, other, let's say, modulins and cell wall components and antibiotics. So they influence each other in a way to, let's say, have a good system that is good for the host, right? And this is all influenced by external factors, but also internal factors. So the gut-skin axis is very important to influence, let's say, on one hand, the, let's say, metabolites that we kind of have on our skin surface, but also on our immune system, and also on the whole anti-inflammatory or inflammatory response of our cell systems. And that all comes together. And it's actually, as you hear already, it's very complex and not fully understood, but the current science that is developing shows that there's a good link in this gut skin axis, and the idea to influence it with some good nutritional addition also, so to complement your diet to make it more healthy, because sometimes you can't get all the nutrients that you should have from your nutrition, is probably a good idea. And that developed over the last years before even talking about the microbiome, and now things get a bit more clearer on that. So it's very complex, and I think science is really going now ahead and will develop further.
So Ben, you mentioned regulatory. It's obviously the huge elephant in the room as far as this is concerned. Would you care to explain the regulatory position in Europe and the UK for food supplements and beauty supplements?
So they get classified as a food, and there are lots of different elements within that. You know, well, in the UK it's a food, but in other countries, for example, Australia, they get classified as a pharmaceutical, and within that, different testing has to be done, different requirements are needed to be able to sell in that market. You know, there are again, it's a fairly new market in the sense that you have to be careful what you can put on your packaging, the claims that you can make. If you go into Boots, for example, and look on shelf in Boots, the claims are all very, very similar on the different beauty supplement products in there. Because it is so difficult to get a study approved and then be able to put those claims on your packaging, it's harder to differentiate in that sense. When selling online, you can articulate a lot better the different benefits of your products, you know, the different benefits on your product. You can go into more detail because, again, there is this sort of like grayer area as such. And I think over time, what we'll see is a bit more of a clampdown on what people are allowed to say online, as well as what they already can't say on their packaging. Okay,
and we've just talked about Europe. Gina, you're based in the US, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So what's the situation with beauty supplements, ingestible beauty in the US, the regulatory position?
So in the United States, dietary supplements are its own category, but it can also be under the category of drugs, but that would be a little bit different, like what Ben just mentioned. But specifically, beauty supplements are under the category of dietary supplements, so they are regulated they're actually not regulated by the FDA. It's more so the manufacturers and the ingredients, supply, and all of that. That's regulated by the FDA. So the laws here, I would say, are pretty loose in that sense. That's why a lot of consumers are a little bit skeptic of trying dietary supplements over here. But that's where the companies really have to hone in on their quality control, their insurance control. And, you know, at Holy Dose, for example, we find reputable manufacturers who are in compliance with the FDA to make sure that they are producing products that we order, not something else. So, you know, we make sure that the manufacturer that we work with, they test the raw materials before going into full production to make sure that it's pure, that it says what it is, and that there are no high levels of heavy metals, for example. But when you are making claims that fall into the category of drugs, that is completely different. And in that sense, that's where the FDA comes in, and they would regulate it as a drug. So if you're making certain claims on, let's say, hair growth, right, the FDA considers in America regrow of existing hair is a drug claim. Like what Ben mentioned, online, it is a little bit more loose, but on packaging, it's more strict. You would have to say something like, you know, your product supports healthy hair, or it grows existing hair, as opposed to growing new hair. So it kind of falls, the lines kind of blur in that sense, but there is a difference between claims.
Yeah, I'll go to Pupinder next. So claims seem to be heavily regulated. How do we handle this? What claims can we make on supplements, and then how do we support other claims?
Well, this is quite a big one for us. I mean, in the UK, food supplements can, and you know, nutritional supplements can make the claims according to the active ingredient suppliers studies. So if an active ingredient supplier has done a study on their active, and that said brand uses that amount, then they can make those claims. However, when you're looking at those sort of scenarios, when you have these different blends, different things, you have no idea how these are going to interact in that product. So making those claims, okay, that's one thing, but do you actually know what effects they're having in your product? No, you won't know that unless you do your own independent test. So this is why I think this space is a little bit blurred and it's not very clear, and people do unfortunately take advantage of that and produce products that people will just buy without knowing the true facts. You've got a lot of companies out there making various types of products, not even using the correct quantities of active that the manufacturer has done the studies on. Yet on the packaging and on their sites and everything else are saying, yeah, well, actually this product does X, Y, Z according to this. And then when you delve deeper, it's actually quite misleading.
So Marie, I'll come to you here. Probiotics in Europe is not acceptable as a term. So how do you make any claims at all on your product when you can't even call it a probiotic?
So yeah, we come from skincare where like life was so much easier when it was relating to claims. So the way that we discovered it works is that you've got the ingredients in your supplement that allow you to make a claim. So for example, zinc, so that you can claim it for skin. Then you've got the product inside that you know is having an effect, but you cannot claim on it, which is probiotics or prebiotics or postbiotics. And then usually for other brands and for us also, but you've got the ingredient inside where you're going to base your marketing on it. So if you've got, I don't know, like algae from somewhere or like a plant from somewhere, which is the one that usually you're going to find like curcuma, known for its antioxidant properties, which is not really a claim. It's just saying that it's known for something. But it's true that on pack, we make very little claim. There's no room for it anyway, because just the legal mention to comply to US and EU regulations take all the space. And it's true that online, we've got a bit more space to explain. But yeah, front of pack, there's just written food supplement for skin.
Okay. So Volker, I'll come back to you on this one. Obviously, we've talked about claims. I mean, there are the EFSA claims that we are allowed to make. So why is it so difficult to make claims on food supplements? You say you're an expert in the sort of the testing side and the evidence generation. How do you manufacture the evidence to make a claim within Europe? Why is it so difficult?
Yes, it's let's say it's not so difficult, but when you consider that the authorities want to have a proof of evidence for a specific area, you need to come with a proper design, and that's also executed in the right way. And I think when you think in terms of the differentiation of a company, like it is right now, you have no claims basically on the products, and it's difficult then to tell a story to consumers. That's also not a good solution. So I think it's really better to think which methodologies and which approach you should take to really show the benefit. I think the new generation of consumers, they're really more demanding also. They want to understand how the product is working, and is it really working, and how you demonstrated that. I think we cannot get away. When you look in this kind of portfolio in the shops, there are many products. So how can they choose the right product? The claim is not only a tool for the marketing company, it's also a tool for the consumer to find the right product, right? And to develop that, you need to put really efforts in the right approach in clinical evidence. And I think in the, let's say, way how you do that nowadays in the area of influencing with nutrition, your appearance of your skin, you need to think first of all that the effect size is quite small, right? You cannot expect like a huge benefit. You take it for 2 weeks and you look like a superstar, right? That will just not happen. So you need to be patient. You need to have a study that goes over a longer period of time, not just 2 or 4 weeks, because then you will see nothing. It may be even 6 months that you need to have a treatment to see some effects. And also then the measurements, they can be, let's say, from academic value, they can be measured somehow maybe, but they may be not relevant because consumers can see it. So you need also to put some efforts when you design a study that consumers can see and feel a difference. What is not so easy, right, in the area of food supplements. And on top, you have the problem that you also eat food. And versus the pharmaceutical industry, we have a synthetic molecule that's the only one you get in the study, and it's clear cut, right? This molecule is doing this and that. If you take a supplement that contains zinc and whatever, vitamin C and E and some other antioxidants, the same may be in your food, and the participants may eat a variation of foods, and the outcomes are just not clear. So you need to be very careful about that in designing. It's not easy. It's much more difficult than a pharmaceutical study, I would say. But there are ways to do it.
So Pupinder, I'll come back to you. When we were just chatting earlier, you say that obviously you are very proud of the fact that you have a collagen that has been proven. Would you like to explain?
Independently, clinically proven.
Would you like to explain why not all collagens are the same? And then how it is that you've proven that your collagen is different to the others? What sort of claims process, trial process have you had to go through?
Okay, so let's start with, yeah, not all collagens are the same, absolutely. Collagen itself is a massive molecule. What we're seeing in this marketplace are collagen peptides, which are small chunks of that big molecule. And the hydrolyzing them is the best way to split them. However, as we know, collagen is a protein, hits your gut. Your gut is going to do what it does best, break it down into amino acids. And the amino acids, this is where we've done our sort of studies and research. After the age of 25, your body's finding it trickier to join those aminos to make your collagen molecules. Hence, you see the signs of aging. Your body can also absorb molecules of certain sizes. So what we found is 2000 Dalton is the right sort of weight that you want for your body to absorb that. But you need to bypass the stomach, because the stomach is doing what it's doing. It's breaking down those collagen peptides into aminos, unless you're going to take masses of it, so high doses. And most claims are on 10 grams of collagen. So what we did is design our own enteric capsule, which works its way to the small intestine. It's then, because the change in pH, the capsule breaks down and you're releasing 2000 Dalton weight or below collagen payload with another 2 actives. And to test this, to show the effects it has on the skin, having this low dose of less than a gram of collagen, we went to a company that does clinical testing. And this was a proper double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, 116 people, different ages, different skin types. And this was done over 3 months, taking a huge number of measurements on the skin, looking at the elasticity, visio cameras, firing lasers at the skin to see how it responds, measuring the wrinkle depth and so forth. A lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, but it shows us and shows our consumer our product works, because 98% of the candidates showed a statistically significant change in one or more measurement, which I don't think any other collagen brand does or has. So that's the big one.
And what claim can you make on pack with all this evidence that you've amassed?
What claims can we make?
Yes.
Okay, so do we want, we've got numerous ones that we can make on pack as a result of this study. So, decreasing wrinkle depth in some cases by up to 68%, increasing elasticity of skin, increasing moisture levels. We have a whole range of measurements and proof now.
These
and
are
also, sorry, on top of that,
yeah.
When we went back to how people describe how their skin felt and how it appeared, we did before and after pictures, and you can see pretty astounding changes from day 0, and then we did it in the middle of the trial, and then 3 months later at week 12. And these were done, again, clinically controlled environment. We had a Professor Gina Martini, Professor of King's College London, Pharmaceutical Innovation, go in, have a look to ensure everything was kosher. And the photographs themselves are just astonishing. Just those before and afters it blew us away. Never mind the actual measurements.
So I'll go to Ben. Ben, your turn here. So does that give us an idea of what sort of claims we can make on these? How we've obviously discussed the EFSA claims to some extent, and they are very, very rigid over what you can say, and they are very, zinc may contribute to healthy skin, and so vitamin C may contribute to the production of collagen in healthy skin, and vitamin E can aid with antioxidant activity in healthy skin, and so on. So how do you go about supporting your claims? What have you done? What claims can you put on pack? You've talked about website. Obviously, website is easier, but I'm a big retailer. Your stuff is on the shelf next to everybody else's. What can you say about yours that makes it stand out? Is there anything that anybody can say about theirs that makes it stand out?
Well, Geoff, it's a really good question, and in terms of the actual claims, when you go on shelf and look in Boots, Superdrug, Holland & Barrett, Lloyd's Pharmacy, in the UK or anywhere else around the world. Well, I don't know around the world necessarily, but definitely in the UK, the claims are all very, very similar, and they're based around these EFSA health claims. About this ingredient, vitamin C, helps contribute towards normal skin, and they're all the same, and that comes down to why there's a reason why lots of companies aren't doing these studies and putting them on their packaging, and it's partly perhaps that the consumers, firstly, you need to have a product that works. Demonstrating how it works can be done in many different ways, and it's much easier to explain online how it works. So you can do a clinical study and show the results. That's a brilliant thing to do. In an ideal world, everyone should do a clinical study to demonstrate that their products work. But ultimately, consumers want to trust that brand, and there are different ways. And this is pardon the pun, the beauty of the beauty supplement market is that you can express and demonstrate the efficacy of your product in many, many different ways that resonate with different consumers. So we use a heavy social media, digital first strategy. And what tends to work best for us, if we were to put an advert up showing the scientific facts behind it, that would perform a lot worse than if we put an advert up with someone talking about it, their own experience of it, of using the products. So obviously that's fine to do online, but when you get to shelf, it's a lot trickier. And why, when somebody goes into Boots, are they picking one brand of beauty supplements over the other? You know, it's a good question. Firstly, I think they've got to trust that brand. Secondly, let's be honest, it's probably quite superficial, and the packaging will play a part in it. And also promotion. So if something's on price promotion, people are going to buy it. How often do people, you know, in reality, pick up the packaging and read it from back to front before purchasing something? You know, some people do, some people don't. And consumers are becoming more aware, so they might look at the ingredients. But yeah, you know, there's many different elements to this, and I think it's a lot trickier on shelf to stand out, really, you know, because there are other factors.
I would say I am one of those people who read a pack back to front and look through the ingredient list, but that unfortunately is my job, and it's just something I've learned to do.
Well, yeah, that's you know, being in this world now. That's what I do as well. But you know, what about your average consumer? Are they reading the packaging from back to front, or do they see a pretty box or whatever, and they're just like, okay, that's caught my eye. You know, I'm going to go and try that one because it's on promotion.
So I'll come back to Gina here and shift frame a little. You were talking about powder blends for your products. So what formats are available? What formats can you play with beauty supplements?
There are, you can play with really any format with dietary supplements, ingestible beauties. You have, you know, your powders, you have your liquid forms, your pills and capsules to tablets, and then you have ready to drink beverages, as well as your gummies. And now I've even seen chocolates and candy and all of that. So the formats are, it seems like they're endless, but the format can also tie in with the efficacy of the products. And so, I mean, in today's world, consumers like a trendy looking packaging product. They go for the gummies, the cute packaging, but a lot of them are not aware that the format is really important for the effects that the product does have on your body. So for example, liquids are the most easily digested and absorbed by your body. It's the quickest, whereas pills and capsules take a little bit longer. Whereas powders, if you mix it into a liquid, it turns into essentially a liquid format. And so, I mean, you can take supplements in any format, but it's really about the dosage as well in each of these servings. So if you take a gummy or a pill, let's say taking collagen, for example, you can cram in about, I believe, 1 gram of collagen per pill or per gummy. But in order to maybe reap certain benefits, maybe the suggested dosage is 5 grams. So you would have to take 5 gummies or 5 pills at a time compared to making a beverage. Right. So, I mean, the formats are endless, but it all really boils down to the dosage that can provide efficient results.
So, Pupinder, I saw you shake your head slightly there.
Yeah, no, you can, it's actually less than a gram. You get about 300 milligrams of collagen in a capsule, and you got to take 10 grams of it for it to make any difference. And
right.
Yeah, in a capsule, any normal capsule, yeah, it's pointless to be. You got to protect it. You need to protect the collagen. That's the only way it is going to get through and be absorbed.
And
so,
I think this,
yeah,
it just highlights the point. The format is important. It's not just how it looks. It's not just, you know, whether it's shaped like a little teddy bear or whatever. The format makes a difference because it's, you know, as you've mentioned, it needs to get to the right place in the right concentrations. It's got to survive the stomach. For the probiotics that you do, Marie, they've got to get down to the lower intestine, presumably. So you've got to get through the stomach and the small intestine before they actually break up and start to work.
Yeah, I come from the pharma world, so for me, like method of delivery and pharmacoavailability and like pharmacodynamics are so interesting, and I love all these new formats. But is your molecule in a shape that can actually be absorbed by the body? Is it going to reach the site of action, and how is it going to enter bloodstream if it needs to enter bloodstream? And I love, probiotics are added difficulty because you need to keep them alive as long as possible. So they've got to be suspended animation in the box, because you don't want them to wake up in the box because they've got a very short shelf life while they're woken up. And then you want them to pass the stomach and like reach somewhere in the gut and start acting. So that's limiting the formats a lot, actually, because they don't like heat, they don't like to be compressed. So it's true that we are stuck with these mostly capsules that are not as sexy as gummy or powders. Like you can do powders, you can do liquid. Liquid is, of course, limiting the shelf life of your product. But yeah, probiotics, I would love to see more innovative formats, because at the moment, I will admit myself, it's a bit boring.
Have you tried sachets that freeze dried? Because we have some pharma grade that you actually keep refrigerated. I know obviously storage is an issue.
Well, for sachet, I really liked it, but single-use stuff, as a beauty brand, you get a lot of heat on sustainability. So we are trying to reduce single-use packaging. So actually, the capsule format was better, because you can actually have only one pack, 30 caps. They are vegetable veggie caps, so it's vegan, technically. But yeah, sachet was so nice, and you can talk more on a sachet than on a capsule. But the single-use thing made us say no.
Okay, Volker, I'll come back to you. So you say you've been working in this space for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
Why is ingestible beauty now? Why is it big? Is it a COVID thing? Is it a stay-at-home thing? Why is ingestible beauty suddenly coming to the fore?
It's a very good question, and I probably don't know the right answer, right? So as I said already before, the concept of beauty from within was, let's say, installed based on vitamins and minerals and back in the times, and carotenoids mainly for sun protection from within, also to help to protect the main, let's say, enemy of your skin is actually the UV light, right? And pollution and this kind of stuff. And now we see the trend going up and down. We have seen like the Ingenious project from Nestle Health Science and L'Oreal before, that was not turned out to be a success at the end of the day. By the way, that was a selling format that I would say has a good success potential, because you have two big companies with a huge power of marketing, selling even the pharmacy, what sounds more scientific from consumer perspective also. But nevertheless, it was not so successful for probably also commercial reasons, right? But when you look now, this trend is going up and down. I think we learn more about the different effects of antioxidants on immune health and all the other, let's say, benefits from nutritional supplements and probiotics on the skin. And so also companies are pushing more towards that area. That may be one reason also that you see more concept like beauty chocolate, for example, was a big bang, I think 2 years ago, with the dark chocolate cocoa flavonoids. And they also did a nice study. I don't remember which company it was. And you see it's popping up, and it's overall the dream of the self-optimization that we see in this society, right? It's a very tangible thing, beauty now with Instagram. People don't want to get old, they want to look good, right? And I think this is probably supporting very much this kind of trend of beauty supplements. It's like the typical marketing story. Right? You have a product on the shelf, you see it's saying something about beauty, and then you think, is that really true? You may not know as a consumer, right? But then you say, okay, I buy it, it could be true. And then you're kind of engaging with it, right? You don't want to lose that opportunity as a consumer. And that's one thing I think that's very important. The change of the consumer as such in this kind of more competitive world, you know, with all these social media things, is putting consumers more towards this direction of being interested in that concept. And I think we will see more of that coming, especially as also the products are getting better, science is more advancing, And I'm sure there's something really in it, but to show the evidence is, as I said before, it's a bit still a problem and not so easy as with a simple, let's say, pain medication where you can easily do a study. So there's, I think in the future, the potential that companies will not maybe compete on the brands as such, but on the outcome that the product achieves, right? So that's the mixture of maybe different components. And then you can prove here, we have the science and the key opinion leaders confirmed that this is something where you see a benefit stamp on, and that may be the benefit, right? And let's see what the future brings. It's a very exciting area.
Yeah. So admit, when I'm looking at these products, and obviously part of my job is to look at these products, and I have people contact me and pitching them to me, and I want to see three things. I want to see the EFSA claims, because in this case, I want to see something which I can write on pack. This may contribute towards, and that's the only way we can do that in the UK still. We've seen Brexit, but the rules have not changed yet. Whether they will, we will see. But I want to see something say, this product will or can do this, and we have this great big stamp from the European Food Standards Agency to say this, so I can say it on pack. I then want to see the clinical data, which is this cosmetic data that Pupinder, Ben, you were talking about. Somebody's tried the project and the wrinkles have gone down. I know we can't say it about the ingredient, but we can say it about the product, because that's then a cosmetic appearance claim. And then obviously I do need those ingredients in there which the consumer is looking for, and they will be looking for hyaluronic acid in an ingredient. They will be looking for collagen in an ingredient. They will be looking for, you know, antioxidants in an ingredient, because that is what they have heard of. And so I think these three things are essential before I'm going to take any of your products, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So has COVID had an effect here? Does anybody want to come up? What has a year of lockdown done? Is it a year of lockdown and spending all time stuck in front of Zoom and seeing your own face all day, or is it a year in lockdown and thinking, I need to boost my immunity? What is it that can happen? Oh, look, if I take ingestibles, I can do this. Maybe they work for others. So anybody want to come in on this one?
I have some theories on this one, Geoff. I think it's a number of things. One thing you mentioned there is quite interesting. People moving more towards immunity and looking for supplements for their immunity. They might have now been introduced to this world of supplements and what else is out there, beauty supplements. I think you can look at it in a few ways. The way that I think about it is, I read somewhere that consumer spending during the pandemic on makeup and cosmetics has drastically decreased, and partly because there's not as many events, people aren't leaving the house as much. So people are having a little bit more money to think about where they're going to spend on their beauty regime. And so people are now looking for ways that they can actually enhance their skin's health. They're looking at things in a slightly different way, perhaps, to before, and they're spending money. They have the money they would have necessarily spent on cosmetics to now look at other products that can enhance their beauty regime. For example, beauty supplements. It's one of my theories behind it.
Okay. I think from the sales perspective, from cosmetic products, they went down right during the COVID crisis, because people at home just don't need to use so much cosmetic products. Maybe the ladies, for being prepared for the office, use a lot of these also expensive products. So the industry was a bit suffering from that. On the other hand, the health supplement industry was celebrating a good sales moment during the crisis for the reasons to support health, immune system, etc. from inside, and that was to be expected, and it really happened. So I don't know if that was linked to the beauty from within as well, but let's say the products are also a bit similar in some aspects, and we don't know exactly what is happening there with the consumers, how they think. But cosmetics went down over the COVID phase, or still is probably lower than the years before.
And if I can add, I think, yes, supplements really benefited from COVID. So for the reason that people are interested in skin immunity, that makeup went down, so like skincare went up, and you should see supplement as part of skincare. And also, I think we benefited from the shift from physical brick and mortar retail to online, because what Geoff and Ben, you've been saying is that, like, how do you compete on the massive supplement shelf in Boots? And if you're online, you don't need to. You've got your brand space and you've got like your skincare and then your supplement, and you can really build on your branding rather than just trying to compete with everyone else. So it's funny that I see that clearly for me, supplement is something that performs best, much better than anything else online compared to brick and mortar. And I think COVID really helped with that.
So it sounds, I was going to come to you, Gina. I was going to say, it sounds like now is the perfect time to be in ingestible beauty and beauty supplements, or at least far better than anyone else. Gina, do you want to add to this? I will come back to you with another question after this as well.
Sure. You read my mind, Geoff. Yeah, so I mean, since the pandemic, like all of you have mentioned, consumers have been more aware of their health and well-being to maintain and support their immune system and all of this. And so consumers have become more comfortable in accepting with the idea of supplements, even though it's been around for quite some time. They've been more open to taking supplements, and in turn of that, right, all the Zoom meetings, all the at-home FaceTime, screen time, consumers are looking for a way to naturally enhance their beauty. When the pandemic first started, all of the offices were closed, dermatologist offices, treatment centers, and all of that. So consumers have had to find a way to maintain their beauty and their health from home. And so ingestible beauty really falls into this category. So skincare has become more consumable. It's become ingestible with all of the holistic benefits that also come with it to really pair and tie together the bridge between beauty and health. So yeah, just ingestible beauty, it's really increased specifically in the last 1 to 2 years.
So I'd add next step on from that. We're looking at this as being a big trend. One of the biggest trends at the moment is personalization. Whether it's a trend, whether it's a movement, whether it's just the direction that the whole of the beauty industry, in fact, every industry has to go, is personalization. I'll come back to you. I'll stay with you, Gina. How can ingestible beauty, how can personalization and ingestible beauty work together?
So everybody's body is different, right? We all need certain amounts of nutrients, types of nutrients to really reach our beauty and health goals. And that's where personalization can come into it. I mean, if you go to a CVS, a Duane Reade, or a Boots, I'm sure you have a whole lineup of supplements. Most of them are individual ingredients, and that's, that allows consumers to kind of pick and choose which ones to use. But you also have blends that kind of blend up all certain ingredients to provide certain benefits. So the personalization aspect, I would say, is a little bit more difficult because it's not like a topical product you're putting on that may, improve your skin hydration. It's, what nutrients and ingredients can be effective and absorbed by my body to provide these ingredients, these benefits for me. And so the personalization aspects, it's becoming more innovative. I've seen some software AI technology that allows you to take a quiz, almost like a skincare quiz, to kind of come up with these product recommendations for you to take. And as well as, some companies are starting to do the same thing and have you take a quiz and blend up your own mix of supplements to take. But these formats I've seen are mainly in pills and capsules, as opposed to, let's say, a powder or a liquid. So yeah.
Pupinder, you want to add here?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. This is something that we've actually started doing. We actually do a personalized consultation most of the time with me. So I look at these people and I have to block off 2 days basically, where I'm going through looking at the individual, with a holistic approach. So looking at everything, not just what they're taking, you know, looking at their overall health, what they're doing, exercising. If they are, okay, you're going to use a bit more collagen, you may need to do X, Y, Z. Are you taking a VIT-C? Are you taking a buffered VIT-C so it's absorbed properly? Do you take zinc? That also helps with collagen laydown. So we've gone into this whole area and the uptake has been massive. I'm booked like at least 2 months in advance. That's just me. So we're actually going to have to hire another pharmacist to carry on doing these consultations. So it's really fun as well, because you learn a lot about your clients and the space, and there's so many different things that you as a pharmacist, as a scientist pharmacist would assume that someone would know, but they don't. So it's quite nice being able to teach people about various things, not just talking about your brand. You're giving them a whole holistic approach to their well-being and their skin.
I would add on this, I will come to you, Ben, on the next part of this, but I would add that obviously one of the advantages of personalization, we've talked about claims and the difficulty in getting proof. If you've identified somebody who actually has a need for something, then there's obviously a much higher chance of that actually having a benefit that is, as Volker, as you said, visible when they look in the mirror. Yeah. If they have got if they do require this and you've provided it to them, it should work. And that's obviously one of the biggest benefits with personalization. So Ben, as I said, I'd come back to you. What sort of level, what types of diagnostics can we provide? What sort of thing can we feed in to identify the personalization? Because obviously, first stage of personalization has always got to be, what does somebody need? Mm-hmm. We've talked about questionnaires, but is there anything else we can do in this space?
Well, yeah, Geoff. I was thinking this when Pupinder was answering. There are different levels of personalization and diagnostics that you can do. I mean, one way is to have a consultation, like a face-to-face consultation. That's great. To do like an AI automated sort of skincare quiz. And then in terms of actually how personalized the products are themselves, there's like different levels there. So you could point someone to a product that you would recommend based on, or the quiz would recommend based on their sort of ailments towards their skins or their concerns, their type of skin. Or I've seen a few companies doing it, not necessarily for beauty supplements, and please let me know if you've seen any that do this, but some that are doing more generic, more general supplements for overall health that will blend up the supplements for you. I can't remember the name of one. They print like print sort of a 3D print gummies on different, in like a stack, and I'm sure the names, I can't remember the name of them. You've probably seen them.
Yeah, we've had to look at those ourselves, so yes.
Yeah, but Geoff, I mean, look, in terms of like from a retail point of view, again, like I honestly don't know how unless you had a 3D printer in the store, which maybe that it'll come to that at some point. How could you have that level of personalization with a store products? The systems are slower, it takes time, you put the stock on the shelves. You could maybe have like little digital quizzes there on the side of the beauty supplement aisle on an iPad, where people enter a quiz and some products get recommended to them. That would be an easier way to do it. But in terms of actually printing or like blending the products there and then, that I'm sure it can be done, but it involves a lot of sort of expenditure and investment up front.
Yeah, so my answer to that is that ones I've seen that work best are those that have a subscription model. So that is the way to do it. But obviously then you need to have some sort of way of identifying what it is that somebody needs and keeping it up to date, because obviously our needs change as you go through, and this is for general wellness and beauty. Your needs as you go through the year will change, therefore you have to have a regular update on what blend do I need this month, what blend do I need next month, and this case is, how do you do that beyond just a questionnaire? So without jumping in myself, anybody else got any diagnostics that go further than the questionnaire and the consultation?
Well, there's microbiome testing.
Please.
So the personalization is something that we get asked a lot when you do microbiome skincare, because it's like the same microbiome on the skin and in the gut. And for me, like personalization, we are so far from doing something actually meaningful, because you can do a microbiome diagnostic on your gut but you cannot really link it to any kind of effect or actual probiotic recommendation. I've seen some startups that started to do it, but I think, yeah, and after that, the industrialization is so far from being there. And Ben was so right about like, how do you retail that after? And also, how can you really, you know, like it's more diet recommendations that supplement mix. I think if someone has a problem, like we have to make them aware that supplements are supplements, and diet should be the first step. So there's a lot of education around that, and it's nice to jump on a marketing or commercial opportunity. But if you want what's best for your consumer, it's probably more, you know, some specific supplements that have a proven effect, like collagen or probiotics or things like that. And after that, diet recommendations.
So we're into our last 5 minutes here. I'll go around each of you. Where will ingestible beauty be in 5 years' time? What are the big breakthroughs? Will it be a big breakthrough? Are there any new super ingredients coming online? Will personalization be cracked? Will probiotics be cracked? Will any of this? Where will we be in 5 years' time? I'll start with you, Marie.
For me, I think what I see is going to be a blur between functional food and supplements. And actually what is a supplement for the moment, which is like a powder or a cap, can probably move to some kind of special beetroot that does something for you. Like I think it's going to be a lot of blurring. And well, on my very little side of the world, I would love to see more cool prebiotics, because you can do so much with prebiotics. And at the moment, it's a bit basic. It's like inulin or not a lot else. So yeah, that's my 2 things.
So Pupinder, I'll come to you next. 5 years' time, where is ingestible beauty going to be?
I think the personalization is going to be the big one, to be honest. I think there are going to be tools and techniques that will come out for you to be able to see exactly what the person needs very quickly. And perhaps all this 3D printing tech will come off and end up producing things much faster than they do at the moment. I think that's going to be the thing coming up. It's going to be a very personalized, focused approach on the person, on the individual, sorry.
Okay, let's go. Volker, would you like to look into the future and predict where will we be for 5 years' time?
Yes, so subscribing what Pupinder said before. So I think the consumers are more skeptical over time, and they will need to have evidence for themselves. Maybe they even don't care for broader studies, so personalization is something. So they want to test what they need, right? So we have here evolving sensors and systems, like also photo recognition with AI behind that, to identify what really is the need, and then to have a product that's tailored to this specific need. And then at the next stage, they take the product for whatever, 2 months, and then they want to measure and they want to see a benefit. And then maybe they optimize, and the round begins from beginning and to the end. So the self-optimization, I think that will be a big thing linked to the personalization.
Okay, Gina, I'll come to you next. Personalization, is that going to happen? Is diagnostics? Is it going to be super ingredients? Where will we be in 5 years' time?
So I think that supplements and ingestible beauty, it's starting to become a staple now, and in 5 years it will become a staple. It's a trend to stay. It's not merely just a trend. But just in terms of technologies, formats, new ingredients, super ingredients, you know, I think that there will be new functional foods that will be discovered to help with certain benefits, and, you know, more clinical studies coming out, more technologies. Personalization is really becoming a big thing now. Like what Pupinder said, it's great that you're doing consultations, but, you know, how can we do that at a mass in 5 years? You know, will there be new technologies? Can we call a consultant? Can we take a test? Is there going to be a device where we can measure our skin elasticity and all of this? You know, I think there will be new technologies to really measure the effectiveness of dietary supplements. I would love to see new ingredients merge out, especially new suppliers. Right now, especially since the pandemic, manufacturing has been extremely slow. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. It's been at a shortage almost. So hopefully that will change as well.
And Ben, before I round up myself with where I think it will be.
Yeah, to add on what everyone else has said there, you know, it's a very exciting market. I believe it's here to stay. It's going to continue to grow as people become more aware going forwards. I think that it will become even more integrated ingestible beauty into our daily regime. So my prediction would be that very soon that there are already a few brands popping up that do this, but they'll be ready to drink vitamin drinks or collagen drinks that will go with every meal deal that you can get from the supermarkets. You just pick them off shelf, and people will be looking at every opportunity to, you know, enhance their chances of improving their beauty from the inside out.
Okay. And I would just add to this before I go back to Amanda. What I would actually like is more regulation. I would like to see, because we all know, everybody here on this panel knows that these things work, but we also know there's a lot out there which doesn't work, doesn't have the evidence behind it. What I would love to see is more regulation, such that we're not a foodstuff, we're not a pharmacy, we're not a drug. The people here are doing stuff that has actually got a benefit, and we can say so. And that is where I hope we would be in 5 years' time. Angela, over to you.
Thank you all for such a wonderful roundup to a great discussion. I think we could have done another hour, but that was an absolutely brilliant conversation. Thank you all so much. And thanks, Geoff, for the excellent moderation. I'd love to see you all at our HealthSpan show in May. We'll be continuing this theme about the convergence of health and beauty. Certainly, if you've got more questions to put to our speakers, it's a great chance to connect with them. So please do join us there. I'm just putting a link in the chat. It's free to attend. Sign up now. We'd love to see you there. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to our panelists and to Geoff for the excellent session, and we'll see you all soon.